Greetings YouTube, and welcome to my face. The sun is shining outside, I've had the day off work with a minor cold, and I was inspired to play a old school RPG. And what better RPG to play than Icewind Dale on the PC. I think with today's gaming there will be lots of people that have never played a Western RPG, especially one that's isometric and as old school as these are, abiding to the D&D rules. So I thought I'd make a small video just to ferry anyone along who was thinking about starting one of these RPGs and didn't really know what to do. I personally think Icewind Dale is the most accessible and probably the best place to start. People often cite Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 as the the flagship of the Infinity Engine, up there with Planescape, but I have a soft spot for Icewind Dale. I think it's because it's the snowy setting, and the fact that you can create all 6 characters from the get-go, which gives you that little bit better sense of immersion. Sorry if I'm rambling, I'm trying to hold a microphone and pop screen in one hand, so the audio of this will probably be shagged if the camera isn't focusing on Harrison Ford behind me like it was last time. So, Icewind Dale, where to start? What characters to create, which ones do you need, what stats to use, if you do create them, are you going to get very far in the game? I thought I'd make a short little tutorial just how to get started of the characters that I always tend to choose and the ones that have seen me through to the end. Maybe I'll do that again without mumbling, if not, fuck it, here we go. So the first thing you'll be doing in Icewind Dale is creating your party of 6 adventurers, defining their gender, race, class type, alignment and so on. Gender is completely tokenistic, so don't worry too much about that, but the main things we're going to be focusing on here is class types and their stats. I personally tend to choose my party consisting of a human paladin, human ranger, dwarf fighter, elf thief and human cleric and mage. Starting with our paladin, we only have one alignment to choose from, and that's lawful good, so we will move right on to abilities. Ability points dictate your character's stats, and these are generated by an emulated dice roll to add additional random values to your minimum base starting figures. One of the good things Icewind Dale allows you to do here is decrement values from one of the abilities and add them to another, effectively giving you one big value which we can distribute as we wish. The easiest way to see exactly what overall value we have to work with is to deduct all the additional points from every ability and see how much we have left in the corner. Rather than just juggling around these dice rolls to see what stats you can make, I found myself using a much more math-based, nerdy way of doing it. Your characters are never going to roll with all 18s unless you're extremely lucky, so it is best to aim high but realistic. The method I used was taking the base values of my characters and working out how many additional points I needed to fulfill my desired stats. In the case of our paladin, I surmised that for a realistically good character we needed 35 additional points, and it was just a case of re-rolling and deducting them to fill that counter to see how many we were left with. This is a very boring process, but I managed to get all my characters created in just under 10 minutes, which is actually quite good going. With our rolled 35 points, we were able to give our first character strength of 17, dexterity of 15, constitution of 16, 11 intelligence, 15 wisdom and 18 charisma. In skills to start off with, I feel it's good to have large swords and great swords, and you accumulate more points as you level up through the game. After this, customise your appearance and voice to your own will. Second up is our human hunter, who I will make neutral good and who requires 32 points to allow us to allocate 18 to strength, dexterity and constitution, 14 to intelligence, 16 to wisdom and 8 to charisma. Skills, while hunters make good archers, they are also some of the strongest fighters in the game, so again I choose large swords and great swords. In addition, for the hunter, you are able to select a certain type of enemy to be more proficient against. I tend to choose orcs, but that's entirely up to you. Next is our dwarf fighter, who I will make chaotic good, but he needs 52 points to give us 18 strength, 17 dexterity, 19 constitution, 15 intelligence, 8 wisdom and 7 charisma. Skills we will give him is 2 on axes and maces, although looking back, halberds instead of maces would also have been a good choice. Next up is one of our most useful characters, our elf thief, who I will make neutral good and will require 47 points to give her 15 strength, 19 dexterity, 17 constitution, 12 intelligence and 10 wisdom and charisma. In skills we first choose where to allocate 30 thief specific points. I'd put 25 into opening locks as it will come in very handy throughout the game, and the leftover 5 into finding traps. You only get 2 weapon allocation points here and both can't be applied to the same weapon, so she will get 1 on daggers and 1 on large swords. Fifthly is our human cleric, another necessity for her healing magic. I'll make her lawful good and she needs 60 points to get her 12 strength, 13 dexterity, 17 Constitution, 18 Intelligence, 17 Wisdom and 7 Charisma. Skills, I give her maces and flails so she can get stuck in, after which we can choose 3 spells. Cure Light Wounds is always a must, and I also select Magical Stone and Bless, which can come in handy in the earlier stages. And last but not least, we have our human mage, who will be chaotic good and will need 57 points, giving him 8 strength, 13 dexterity, 18 constitution, intelligence and wisdom, and 6 charisma. Weapon skills, we will give him missile weapons, as he will be our weakest character who can't equip most armour, so it's best to keep him out of the way. And for spells, we have to give him the infamous magic missile, and to save some gold, identify. Burning Hands is also a good choice here if you don't wish to go with the identify spell. And now you're ready to rock and roll and begin the game, but before you jump straight into your adventure, I will give you a few little tips in terms of items before you face your first battle. When you first begin, all you will have is a quarterstaff at each and 610 gold. I think the amount of gold changes each time you start, but I'm not too sure. But for now, head to the shop next door and buy 2 splint mail, 2 chainmail armour, studded leather armour, a 2-handed sword, a mace, a flail, sling and 3 lots of bullets, a 2-handed axe, a bastard sword, a large shield, a medium shield, and if there is any gold left over, a few helmets. Now you want to equip your paladin with a splint mail and a 2-handed sword, fighter also with splint mail and 2-handed axe, thief with longsword and studded leather armour, mage with sling and bullets, cleric with chainmail and flail with mace as a quick weapon and a medium shield, and finally our ranger with bastard sword, chainmail and a large shield. Finally, if you've bought any helmets, give them to either the paladin, fighter or ranger and throw those quarterstaffs away. Don't worry if you couldn't afford everything here, because you have the chance to be a little bit cheeky and exploit the import-export character mechanic. If you go to the character record screen, there is an option to export your current character. This will export him in his current state, inventory intact. So by exporting each of your characters at this point and starting a new game, when it comes to character creation section, you'll notice there's an option to import. Import your characters back in to make the party you previously did, and when you begin the game you'll be fully kitted out, along with your starting gold. This is sort of cheating, but it's that early on and these items become pretty useless pretty soon that I don't see it as being too bad. If you wanted to though, you could take all the items you bought in the shop and give them to each character before you export them, so when you import them back they all have a full inventory of what you bought in the shop that you could sell back to the keeper, but that's a little bit unnecessary. Anyway, now you're ready to begin the game with the characters I've had experience with. I know they can see it through to the end without too much hassle. They might not be the most perfect characters, and I'm sure there are some guides out there of how to make the ultimate party, but these are my guys and I know they work. One final thing, you can change your party formation by dragging their portraits up and down, and I would suggest going in the order of Paladin, Ranger, Fighter, Thief, Cleric and Mage, and use the formation that looks like a dice 6 roll. This will help put your Mage at the back of most fights, which is really where it should be as he will die quickly. And now if you head down to the south of town and cross the bridge, you'll be faced with your first battle, a gang of goblins. Your characters shouldn't take any damage fighting these with their equipment and stats, except if your mage takes an arrow up the arse like he did on this recording, but just get your cleric to heal him if so, and you're all set to start the game in confidence. As always, thanks for watching, hope this helped a person or two. Feel free to leave a comment response below, and I shall be back with a review maybe this coming weekend.